In this presentation, I want to talk to you about athletic motivation. Generally, athletes are either internally motivated, intrinsic motivation, or they are externally motivated. An intrinsically motivated athlete is somebody that takes a lot of pride in mastering a sport or a movement. They are the type of people that are working on their game just because they want to reach a milestone or a goal, and they're doing it for themselves. They're doing it because this is the kind of person they are. They just are one of these, kind of people that people would call a grinder. They love it. They love the practice. They love the feeling of accomplishing a particular goal and getting the feedback that from their work in the form of success, the improvement. That's what they're all about. Intrinsically motivated athletes are all about mastery. They're all about improving their sport. They are motivated to achieve success. M-A-S. They're motivated to achieve success. And then what you'll find is that these athletes will set high goals for themselves, and then they'll do whatever it takes to achieve that goal. So that's why it is so important to be able to identify what kind of athlete that you're working with. Are they internally motivated, intrinsic, or are they extrinsic or externally motivated? An extrinsic athlete, extrinsically motivated athlete, external motivation is someone that's playing for, let's say, like a prize or money or some kind of accolade, some kind of a trophy, something that's the goal, is to have other people and external forces look down upon them with praise. Or in the case of money, very common now, very common that in athletics you'll see someone doing great at a certain level, and then all of a sudden, once they sign a contract or once they reach a particular plateau and then they have all the money they need, then perhaps sometimes you'll see that their performance goes way down. Why is that? Well, they've already reached their goal. The money is the thing that they were motivated by, and then therefore once they have achieved that, what's left? And that is why to be able to identify an intrinsically motivated athlete, an extrinsically motivated athlete is crucial to be able to talk the kind of language, to be able to work with this athlete to keep the lines of communication open. So let's talk about then what kind of language would be best to use for an intrinsically motivated athlete. Again, the words are mastery. The words are taking pride, ownership of this particular athlete, their goals, and what is it that they want to do. It has to be you have to be really clear with this person, give them absolute goals, and make sure that they make sense. The goals make sense and that they're not too high and not realistic, but check them off the list, and once they reach that goal, you move on to the next one. You may have a junior athlete that says, I want to play PGA Tour golf, but they're only 12, 13 years old. That's fine. That's a goal, and that is what I would consider, and they are intrinsically motivated to play PGA Tour golf. They didn't say anything about the money, but sometimes you will get an athlete that will say, when I play PGA golf, I'm going to be driving, X, Y, and Z car, living in a giant mansion. Now you know what's motivating that particular athlete. It's not playing PGA Tour golf or playing in the NFL or NBA or MLB. It's actually the money to be able to buy the thing that they just said. So then what I've done, and what anyone can do actually, is then you can use that to continue to motivate the athlete if in case they ever get down in a slump or whatever, or they become demotivated for some reason. You can remind them of that. Say, look, if you want that mansion, this is what we're going to have to do. The only problem with that, and is through the research and through my own experience, is that if you have an athlete that is extrinsically motivated or externally motivated with things and money and prizes and things of that sort, they are what is called, they're motivated to avoid failure. So what that means is that they are so in tune with the prize, is that if they come to a situation where they feel like that they are not going to be able to reach a particular milestone, then many times they'll self-sabotage. You know, one of the perfect examples of that, of self-sabotaging behavior, is when Mike Tyson bit off the ear of Evander Holyfield. This is what, in my view, is simply face-saving behavior. Now, what was Mike Tyson's goal? Well, obviously it was to defeat Evander Holyfield, but my thinking is it was to keep his moniker, if you would, his reputation. He was externally motivated to keep the title, the baddest man on the planet, alive and well. When that wasn't happening, he was highly motivated to exit stage left. So what did he do? He engaged in behavior that he knew would get him ejected. And so it was a self-sabotage. He didn't get beat. They called the fight because of the ear biting. He did not get defeated. Holyfield did not beat him. And then therefore, Mike Tyson left the stage, left the ring, and then made an excuse that Holyfield was butting him in the head, and that it was retaliatory. The reason of the ear biting is in retaliation of what had just happened. It wasn't that he was getting defeated, and then therefore he was able to hold on to the title of World's Baddest Man. He did not beat me. I did it because of what he was doing to me in the ring. He was externally motivated, extrinsically motivated to withhold and to maintain this particular reputation. Holyfield, on the other hand, very intrinsically motivated, wanted to be the heavyweight champion, and because he wanted to see, he wanted the title, obviously, but it was because he took great pride in himself, how he carried himself, and he wanted to add on this title, or beating Mike Tyson, as something that had been hanging over his head for many years. I doubt if the victory was on his mind as much as just doing his best, and he probably had a lot of confidence that he could, if he did his best, then he was going to be victorious. So there you go. There's the two different kinds of, two different athletes, in my opinion, coming from two different points of view on motivation. So in your case, this is something that you're going to have to recognize as well. What is the athlete saying to you? What are the languages, the words that they are using? I want to get that money. I want to buy that house. I want to drive that car. Well, they're extrinsically motivated. So talking to them about mastering this or mastering that, it's not going to do anything. But or it may not do anything, but you can then stimulate that person with using the cues that they are giving you. Say, if you want that house, if you want that car, then I need you to do X, Y, and Z. That's going to help you get to there. And so it might be fruitless for you to try to internally or intrinsically motivate an externally motivated athlete. That's why it's important, as far as athletic counseling, is to listen. But I know as a coach, many times coaches, they like to talk a lot. So that's why in sports psychology, and certainly with athletic counseling, that's why this situation that you're in with me is sort of unique, simply because of my degree with athletic counseling. I like to listen to the athlete, listen to what they're saying. What is motivating? What do they want? What is it that what do they really want? So when you're dealing with a junior athlete, many times they just want to be liked, or they just like the camaraderie. But many of the junior athletes that I work with, they got big goals. I mean, want to be PGA Tour, they want to be on the ATP. I mean, big goals. And so Olympics, this kind of thing. And so then you have to figure out, well, what is it about that? Are they just trying to make their parents proud, this type of thing? Or are they really doing it to express their talent? They really want to, show the world who they are. For most of my clients, it has been my experience that that's it. That these athletes with these giant, they have a lot of raw ability or raw talent. They're just looking to put their stamp on the athletic world. They are highly motivated. And so, but sometimes they'll get down in a slump. And so many times what I'll do is just have them take a break, get away from the game, for a little while to avoid a burnout. And then, though, when they come back, I simply remind them of the goals that they told me that they wanted to do. And I totally support those goals with the kind of language that they're using to me. What is it that you want? I want to be a PGA Tour pro. Okay, well, then this is what the new Titleist Pro V looks like. And I keep them motivated by talking about current events and happenings on the PGA Tour or tennis world, something like that, keeping them engaged, keeping them motivated on their goal. If they are extrinsically motivated or externally motivated, same thing. I'm looking forward to making a lot of money, or, I'm looking forward to driving that car. Yeah, well, you're going to look good behind that car. I'll tell you that. Now, I'll tell you this. Did you know that the average tour player is hitting 75% of their greens or something like that? I make up a number, I look at the stats and make the number up, and then say, and that keep them motivated to hit a better iron shot or to work on their game, because if they do that, then that is one of the things that's going to help them achieve their external goal. Now, on the professional player, so that's a totally different thing. They've already gone beyond what we're just discussing here. The moniker probably is over now. And so again, with the professionals I work with, what we're talking about here is just increasing their performance. And yes, they know they'll make more money, and many times that's what they're motivated to do. This thing now has become a job. So now, because it's a job, they're looking for ways and techniques to increase, their production. And so it would be sort of my job, or to help them to get back in the fire that they once had as a younger athlete. What is it that they wanted to do as a young person? Maybe that dream has gone away now, the reality has kicked in, but we can sort of replace that with something that just pushing them just a little bit more to achieve, try to get back that love, or that deep love for the sport, and then remind them of who they were as an athlete a long time ago. The professional athlete, unless they're multi-millionaire, are looking to, quite frankly, make a little bit more money. They're more than likely they're looking down the road for their retirement, because they're one injury away, and so they are externally motivated. However, it's not so clean to just put a label on them. They're externally motivated. No, this thing goes much deeper for the athlete playing for money, because we're talking about the security of their family. And if we are talking about that, then this person is very intrinsically motivated. They're doing it for the love of not only themselves, but of their family, if that's the case. So that's a really, that situation when you're dealing with an athlete, it can be very problematic, because there can be a lot of fear involved in that. And simply, if they're saying to themselves, I am motivated to provide a living, for my family, there can be a lot of fear with that, because if I don't, then my family's going to suffer. And of course, that's the last thing a father or a mother wants to see or feel. And that's why you have to sort of be careful in these situations and just work with this person, understand where are they coming from, try to reframe this, and let them understand that the fear then is the thing that can be the catalyst of their failure. That's why we have to be sort of careful in these situations, because you're dealing with a very different kind of a situation. The first thing is to make them become aware of what fear does to the athletic motion. After they become aware of that, just try to get them to understand, how are they motivated? Why are they motivated? And is the motivation the thing that is spurring on the thoughts of fear? They are highly motivated. We understand that. Why are they motivated? And then the why leads, or can lead, to the kind of self-talk that can lead to either success or failure. So that's why motivation is big. However, it's always a subjective thing, and it has to be, you can never take it for granted why this player is playing. I know it's easy to say a college football player is playing just for the money, but I would say that's incorrect. Is that some people just love to play football, and they love to they're looking forward to taking it to the next level, so that they can demonstrate to the world what kind of talent that they have. You see this kind of athlete very rarely, right? We just saw one win a Super Bowl here in January of 2019 as a receiver. and also as a quarterback. You have those kinds of players, but they're sort of rare. In that environment, they're sort of rare. Then you have what I don't know if I would call it common, a more common occurrence perhaps in that environment, is that an athlete comes out of college, then they sign a massive check. They have achieved their goal now. Their goal was getting to the NFL, and now they're a multimillionaire, and now their financial worries are over, for now at least. Are they continuing to be motivated? Well, I don't know, because their whole thing for many years, even as a kid, was to drive that particular car or live in that particular house. And so now that they've achieved that, they have programmed their mind to say that when I achieve those things, then I have done everything I needed to do. Problem is, they got paid before they even stepped onto the field, you see. And so if you're ever dealing with an athlete like that, that's fine. We just have to say, it might be smart to just continue to put these motivators out there. Say, look, do you know that if you have a bunch of incentives built into your contract that you can continue to make more money and more money? I don't know if it's possible to have an extrinsically motivated athlete to become intrinsic. I'm not sure that is possible, but I do know that it would take a lot of your time and work in order to try to change that person's mind. So my viewpoint on it is let's don't even go down that road. Let's just work with the athlete, who they are as a person, and continue to help them become the best athlete that they can. So that's it. That's a short presentation on motivation. There's a lot more involved in motivation as far as theories on motivation, but we're applied scientists. And so there was no need to go into all the various theories of motivation with you. You can find all of those on the internet. However, if ever you did want to discuss those things with me, then I'll be more happy to discuss them with you. The main thing I wanted to get across for you on this particular video is just being aware of the kind of athlete that you're dealing with, to identify what is it that they want. Why are they being motivated? A new phenomenon that I have seen over the last few years is that athletes that are coming from a foreign country, what is their motivation? It certainly is not money. It doesn't seem to be money, at least. It's not about mastery to a point, not fully mastery to a point, but it's societal. And so they're coming from a environmental population that is looking to them as representation of the entire nation. So that can, talk about pressure, right? So that is probably one of the reasons why they have a sieve filter as a young person to be able to deal with those types of pressures. And so the mass majority of the athletes coming out of those types of academies, they wash out because the pressure to be on a world stage, not only playing for themselves, playing for their sponsors, but playing for the entire nation and being a representative of the nation. That is why you're seeing certain athletes, they are just stoic when they're out on to the golf course or out on the tennis court. We saw it very clearly at the US Open this year. You have a particular athlete that is acting, very stoic is the word I would use. Another athlete is having a total meltdown. Is one athlete externally motivated? Is one athlete internally motivated? Intrinsically motivated? It's a pretty good argument right there. And so you see it all the time now on the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour. Athletes that are representing their nation, and then they're motivated. What is it that they're motivated in? They are extremely externally motivated, extrinsically motivated, but not for prize money. It seems like they are extrinsically motivated to show the world who they are and represent their country as an entire population. They have been able to sort of rectify it in their mind that I am a walking representation of this country, that country, and this country. That's motivating them. It's got probably nothing to do with their money. It might have a little bit to do with it, but primarily I would say no. And so interesting. It's an interesting dynamic what we're seeing happening right now in this year, in 2018 and 2019. The landscape of the sporting world is changing before our eyes. And as sports psychology consultants, we have to be ready for that and understand who are we dealing with here? What kind of athlete are we dealing with here? And what motivates them? So there you have it. That's motivation. So I look forward to talking to you in the future about your experiences with motivation, your own motivation, and motivation of athletes that you've played with, motivation of the athletes that you've worked with, and answering any other questions that you have. I look forward to talking to you very soon.